In just about every category, we put more money into our components and performance than our competitors do. This is really important because when you're going out to buy a speaker enclosure, you're just not getting a plastic box. Everybody's got plastic box on a stick, and there are a lot of things that make one different from another. Primarily is what it sounds like when you get it in the environment it's intended to be used in. For instance, if you go into a music store and you listen to all these powered speaker enclosures at low volume, they're all going to sound pretty good. But when you push them, get them 400 or 600 people out there, push them to what they're intended to be used, that separates one speaker enclosure from another, and always PV enclosures are going to sound better. Now let me just give you an example. Take a look at the high end in our speaker enclosure. Our component, we use a driver like this. This is the high-end frequency driver, which has an 1.5 inch diaphragm, like that. The larger the diaphragm surface, the better it's going to sound. Our competitors, using things like this, you can see the difference. Even poor excuses for compression drivers like this. It is a huge difference. But you wouldn't tell by looking at the outside of the box. You only really know when you get the speaker in its intended environment. So what I'm telling you is our components, this is ours, are more like what you would find in a competitor's $800 box. This is from a competitor's box that is literally twice the PVXp DSP, which is what we use. That makes a big difference. But you're going to have to hear it to believe it. Not only do we use better components, we use better bracing too. So if you take a look at the cabinet itself, we have more air volume in it. That's going to be increased bass response. We have more plastic. Now, why is that important? Well, because if you don't want to spend a lot of money on a speaker enclosure, the cabinet itself, you can save a lot of money by not using a lot of plastic. But what happens is every time that bass hits, it gets absorbed into the box instead of directed to the audience. We spend extra money on the cabinet itself to make sure that all that energy is transmitted right to the audience for a better sounding speaker enclosure. Not only that, the PVXp is flyable. It's a fantastic enclosure. You can fly it from the top, from the side, from the bottom, just about any configuration, and it's safe to be flown. That's really important when you're putting speakers over somebody's head. In addition to that, we've developed an asymmetrical horn. And what that horn does is it allows you to get the sound where you need it. It fires the sound down at the audience instead of up over their head. Why doesn't our competitors do that? Well, I'll tell you why. It costs more to do it the way we do. Half the price of our competitors, a better sounding box. You owe it to yourself to listen to the new PVXp. 3 times the power you're going to get with our competitors, even though they have bogus power ratings. We'll show that to you in a minute. Be careful. Don't believe everything you read. Don't believe everything you hear, because our industry's gone crazy with power ratings, and it's just not the case. So what we've done here is we've taken one of our competitors' power amps right out of the plastic box, hooked it up to an 8 ohm load right here to simulate a speaker. Got a line level coming into it. We're going to crank it up and just see what the actual power rating is going to the woofer of this 1,000 watt box. Crank it up into clip, and we got 200 watts for a second, and it quickly ramps back to about 100 watts of continuous power in a 1,000 watt box. Now, the same price for the same amount of money, let's take a look at what the PV box will do. So I'm just going to disconnect the power on this one, move everything over to this is the PVXp DSP, a brand new powered box we got coming out, which is the same price as the one I just showed you. We're going to hook up that speaker to the dummy load as well. These are just the speaker outputs, hooking them into the 8 ohm dummy load right here. And we're just going to move the probe from this load to that load, crank it up, see what we got. 250 watts, and it's going to stay that way. So you really have twice the usable power with the PV product that you do with our competitors who claim they're a 1,000 watt box. Check out the PVXp DSP. It's a fantastic speaker enclosure. Now with 96K DSP, go to a PV dealer, listen to it for yourself, compare us to the competition. You're going to find out we win every time. PV.com for more information. Thanks a lot.